All right, y'all, we are back with another video. I definitely had to bring y'all this, and it seemed like another scandal just rocked Zohran Mamdani's campaign. Now, we just figured out now, here go George Soros. Ain't it funny that George Soros is always in the middle of something? He's always funding these people. Now, a lot of people been finding out the reason why Zohran Mamdani been winning. Now, we just figured out that George Soros has been funding him this entire time. And not only that, Cuomo has gotten closer to Mamdani in the polls, and now the Democrats are panicking. And of course, you seen Barack Obama, he came out and endorsed Zohran Mamdani. It has been a freaking wreck. And not only that, we even got more news on the government shutdown, and President Trump just dropped a bombshell announcement, and we definitely about to get straight into that. So please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everybody showing so much support, and shout out to the one that always watches the entire video. I appreciate all of you. I try my best to keep y'all up to date with everything that's going on. And like I said, once again, shout out to the one that always let me know in the comment section that you did stay to the end of the video. So please let me know down below in the comment section that you watched this entire video and you hit that like button. But boy, we got some news, and Zohran Mamdani is panicking right now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight into this. Now, before we get into Zohran Mamdani, now, look at this right here on the screen by Eric Dawes. Said, breaking: President Trump's team say they will fund food stamps partially while Democrats keep the government shut down. Absolutely unbelievable that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats vote over a dozen times to defund SNAP, then get an activist judge to make him pretty much to make him fund SNAP. So they shut the government down, and then when they got a leftist judge to agree with them to make President Trump fund SNAP. So if he say no, they'll get on camera and say, well, Donald Trump is the one that's doing this to the American people. He the reason why they ain't getting EBT. He the reason why they ain't getting this. He the reason why they ain't getting paid. This is what they doing to try to blame President Trump and try to make this whole shutdown to make it seem like it's President Trump's and Republicans' fault, when the Democrats is the one that's constantly voting to shut it down. Like, this is insane. Look at this. It's all a political game. Shame on you, Chuck. Trump is doing what he can. Obviously, we see that he did get the military paid, and now President Trump pretty much saying that his team say they will fund food stamps partially while Democrats keep the government shut down. And before we move on, another thing I want to show y'all. Say, breaking news: Nancy Pelosi would not seek re-election in 2026. Let me read that again. Breaking news: Nancy Pelosi would not seek re-election in 2026. She's done. She is currently 85 years old. And the crazy thing is that, what her name, Maxine Waters, she is still out there running around. Of course, Nancy Pelosi might not run, but she still going to be in the public eye. She's still going to be running on CNN or wherever the case may be, talking crap. We know that's going to happen. I just thought I'd share that with y'all. But, you know, things always change. You know, she'll be like, oh, I'm not, running for re-election, then come out and then she is running. But I just want y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Now, before we get into some of the posts about Zohran Mamdani, I want to turn to Dr. Steve Turley real quick. He's an excellent reporter. Salute to Dr. Steve Turley. Well, he the one had broke the news that another scandal just rocked the Mamdani campaign. And I want y'all to listen to some of the things that, Dr. Steve Turley said. So let's check this out real quick.
New York City stands at a crossroads with literally just hours until polls close. The race has dramatically tightened. A new Atlas Intel poll, one of the most accurate pollsters of 2024, finds Zohran Mamdani leading with 41%, former Governor Andrew Cuomo nipping at his heels with 34%, and Republican Curtis Sliwa polling at 24%. But with the latest bombshell blowing up inside the Mamdani campaign, all bets are now off. The investigative outlet White Collar Fraud has uncovered yet another explosive scandal surrounding Mamdani.
Is like I told y'all before, is always George Soros somewhere in the mix. Always him. Look at that. George Soros linked charities funneled $40 million. $40 million to support Zohran Mamdani's campaign. Then, of course, you know, when they get caught, the first thing they're going to be saying is, oh, no, that's a lie. That right there didn't happen. George Soros didn't do this. George Soros is a liar. We know exactly what this man been doing. He's the reason why for all these riots and stuff like this, people getting paid to riot and protest against President Trump. We know that George Soros has his finger all over this. And here it go again, that he's, you know, supporting Zohran Mamdani. Pretty much funded him $40 million. Wow.
White Collar Fraud investigator Sam Antars reportedly just filed 11 new whistleblower complaints with the IRS, all alleging that the Mamdani campaign has benefited from over $40 million that was funneled through 6 different tax-exempt organizations that all trace back to a single source. And that, of course, is who else? The one and only George Soros. Now, the key here is that coordinated political activities that present themselves as grassroots movements that are completely independent of each other is a violation of federal tax law.
Yep.
According to the report, the coordination methods involved in this alleged money laundering resemble those commonly seen in sophisticated criminal enterprises involving multiple legitimate-looking entities that hide the true flow and purpose of the funds. The most damning evidence comes from the organization's own admissions. So the Working Families Party's November 2022 memo openly admits coordinating independent expenditures. So we're talking political activities that by law must be independent and cannot be coordinated. Now, what's so illuminating here is that Mamdani's campaign styled itself as a completely grassroots movement. It boasted 75,000 volunteers knocking on over 430,000 doors. But this new report alleges they were not organic volunteers. They were over 1,000 bought and paid for operatives.
This is crazy.
By the Soros-based coordinated network. And they were deliberately deployed to boost Mamdani's campaign image while presenting themselves to voters as independent grassroots support. Moreover, we're getting word that none of these operations...
And y'all remember that this same guy, Zohran Mamdani, wants to defund the police. He wants to legalize prostitution and all type of other crazy stuff. This is what this man is doing. And then I did a video yesterday. If y'all haven't watched it, make sure y'all go watch it. Is that a lot of New York voters don't even know what they're getting themselves into. They getting on camera saying, I voted for Zohran Mamdani because he's going to give us free stuff. He's going to freeze our rent. He's going to give us that. He's going to give us this. So a lot of New Yorkers are only voting for this man because they think they're going to get free stuff. They just been lied to. This is absolutely insane. So if it's a way that if you're watching this and you stay in New York City, do not vote from Mamdani. Do not vote for Mamdani.
Here in the Mamdani campaign finance reports. And as if things couldn't possibly get worse, there's the insult added to injury, and you're not going to like this. It involves the reported $52 million in government grants that were actually subsidizing the infrastructure of these organizations. In other words, once again, like we saw with USAID, Soros emerges as a genius in using our tax dollars to subsidize his organizations, which means that you and I have basically been bankrolling this systematic coordination that's enabling this election manipulation.
Wow.
Now, of course, the Open Society Foundations deny these allegations, claiming the reports the reports are misleading. The numbers that they're using are inaccurate. They're stating that the grants were made years before the mayoral race even began. But this investigation is documenting that all of these supposed independent organizations all share executives.
Yep.
They all have integrated personnel arrangements. They literally share the same office space. They coordinate financial transfers. So all these claims to independence are obviously refuted by their spatial, relational, and financial proximity to one another. Now, beyond the funding scandal, Mamdani faces a very real credibility crisis that exposes the hollowness of his socialist rhetoric. Or another way of putting it, he's a champagne socialist, right? He's a limousine liberal, and that's what we're finding out more and more. The candidate who repeatedly called to defund the police now enjoys a security detail provided by that very police department he sought to dismantle. His campaign has spent tens of thousands of dollars on private security services, obviously a luxury that New Yorkers struggling with cost of living issues couldn't possibly imagine affording themselves. He's been caught regularly dining at some of Manhattan's poshest and priciest restaurants. He threw a lavish 3-day wedding celebration in Uganda guarded.
Look at that right there. I want a lot of y'all to see this man already talking about defunding the police. So if you see Zohran Mamdani spending big on a private security despite earlier calls to defund the police. And I've been saying this for the long that this guy is a liar, a known liar. I can't see how people are, New Yorkers are voting for this man. Socialist New York City mayor candidate recently made headlines for throwing a lavish wedding celebration in Uganda, guarded by armed Ugandan military forces and private security. So that's what he want around him, but he don't want nobody else to be safe. He want to defund the police in the United States. And like I said, one of the other things I just mentioned earlier, he wants to legalize prostitution. He want to make it illegal to do that. So whoever doing it, they can't get in trouble. This guy's a scum, man. I can't see how people will want to vote for this guy.
By armed special Ugandan military forces and his own private security detail, complete with max military security and cell phone jamming systems. So he presents himself as a man of the people, representing a completely organic grassroots movement. All the while, he's being bankrolled by Soros-linked dark money and whining and dining with some of the richest people on the planet and exploiting people's economic pain for his own advantage. And that pain is real. It
definitely is real because, like I said, we'll get to it in just a second, how we've seen Mike Johnson didn't explain plenty of times that the Democrats shut the government down because they're trying to get Zohran Mamdani voted in. They trying to make sure he get voted in before they reopen the government. This was their whole plan the entire time. They try to get behind Zohran Mamdani. And Mike Johnson been saying this for the longest. He's been saying this for the longest.
And for many, the dream of a comfortable golden age has been absolutely shattered. Inflation, market volatility, global economic threats, they've all turned retirement planning into a high-stakes game of economic survival. But there's obviously a much better solution than the snake oil socialism that Mamdani and Soros.
Exactly. So salute to Dr. Steve
Mamdani, 34-year-old Democratic socialist. He's the
communist, not socialist, communist. He's far worse than a socialist.
Some people have compared him to a left-wing version of you, charismatic, breaking the old rules. What do you think about that?
Well, I think I'm a much better looking person than him, right?
But what if Mamdani becomes mayor?
It's going to be hard for me as the president to give a lot of money to New York because if you have a communist running New York, all you're doing is wasting the money you're sending there. So I don't know that he's one, and I'm not a fan of Cuomo one way or the other, but if it's going to be between a bad Democrat and a communist, I'm going to pick the bad Democrat all the time, to be honest with you.
Totally, man. Make sure y'all go over and go show him some support. I definitely had to bring y'all that. I seen when he came to my phone, so I had to check it out. But I definitely wanted to show y'all that now this scandal, and did you see the reason why the polls are a lot closer now for Cuomo? And so he does have a chance to win within 24 hours. So he definitely has a chance to win. We shall see. And let's move on to this right here. You see by Eric Daugherty. And he said, breaking, even Elon Musk urges all New York City voters to elect Andrew Cuomo as mayor over communist Zohran Mamdani. He said, bear in mind that a vote for Curtis is really a vote for Mamdani, or whatever his name is. Vote Como. Wow. Can Como pull it off? Save yourselves, New York. So New York has a chance to save themselves because, like I said, the polls are a lot closer now. And you see right here, say just in, even Texas Governor Greg Abbott promises to impose 100% tariff on anyone moving to Texas from New York after the polls close tomorrow for if and when communist Zohran Mamdani wins. New Yorkers need to save their city, and if Zohran wins, move to New Jersey and Pennsylvania and make those states red. Texas and Florida are fine right now. So, I mean, man, it's just starting to heat up right now. It's definitely starting to heat up. Now, if you see right here, say just in, final New York mayoral poll, Atlas Intel say Zohran Mamdani 43.9%, Andrew Cuomo 39.4%, and this is the closer it has been. So, Andrew Cuomo definitely still has a chance to win. They said, wow, did not expect it to get that close. New York City, save yourself. So, I mean, it's a lot of things that's going on. Now, I do want to show y'all this right here, because if you look right here by Nate Freeman, this is what he asked a New Yorker. He asked this New Yorker who she wants for mayor, and y'all have to just listen to what she said. Check this out.
I voted for Mamdani.
Okay, can you tell us why?
I'm just looking for some.
So, start off, she said she voted for Mamdani. So, we'll see the reason why she voted for Mamdani.
I voted for Mamdani.
Okay, can you tell us why?
I'm just looking for someone new and not part of the established Democratic Party who also hasn't been accused of sexual assault.
I spoke to the other side a little bit, and they're concerned about like the government-run grocery stores and the free buses. What's your response to that?
I think government in the U.S. is great in the sense that there's always balance, right? Like, no one person is making all the decisions, and so I think there'll be balance within.
He describes himself as a Democrat socialist. Like, do you feel like socialism would work in New York City?
No, not necessarily.
So she said she voted for him, but he's a Democrat. He just described himself as a Democrat socialist. And then she just turned around and said that oh my God, bro. We are doomed. Check out this last part right here. I want y'all to listen to this again. Listen to this right here again.
Right? Like, no one person is making all the decisions, and so I think there'll be balance within.
He describes himself as a Democrat socialist.
So Zohran Mamdani, that's what he says. He describes himself as a Democrat socialist when she just said she don't support socially, but yet she voted for him anyway.
Like, do you feel like socialism would work in New York City?
No, not necessarily.
No, not necessarily. I don't think it'll work in New York City, but yet she still voted for him. And I showed a video yesterday of another young lady pretty much saying that she voted for Mamdani pretty much because she thinks he's going to give her free stuff.
Who are you voting for mayor?
I am voting Mamdani.
And why?
Because he's the most obvious choice.
What makes him an obvious choice for you?
It's just like, I'm trying to think. This reminds me of a certain comedy sketch where the comedian was like, we could either vote in one guy and he's gonna give everybody free houses, free rent, and he's gonna give everybody a Lamborghini, or we could vote in somebody who's gonna burn down the city. That's why I'm voting Mamdani, because I'm voting for the guy who give me the Lamborghini.
Yeah, so you think Mamdani's like just gonna give you guys everything?
Not everything. I'm saying it's the most obvious choice.
What do you think is gonna happen with government-run grocery stores and free buses? Do you think that sounds like a good idea?
That does sound like a good idea.
And freezing the rent?
That does sound like a good idea.
What if they have to freeze the rent to the point where eventually then the landlord's not able to come in and fix the washer and make profit on his own lease?
That's their problem.
Any of y'all New Yorkers think voting for that wannabe, that Mamdani, whatever his name is, think y'all voting for him because he didn't promise y'all a whole bunch of free? See, this is how you know the Democrats know how to get y'all. They said all we got to do is promise them a bunch of free stuff, and we know they're going to go for it because they're lazy, and we know they don't want to work. Them is their exact thoughts when this man is down there in New York offering y'all free housing, free this, free that, and ain't none of that about to happen. None of it, bro. I don't think y'all understand how it works. This man can't freeze rent. He can't give out, bro. He can't do none of that. All this free promising New Yorkers down there, bro. Bro, it's all a fucking lie, bro. It's all cap. He not about to do none of this for y'all. He gonna get you. He want y'all votes to get in office, and then once he get in office, he gonna forget about you, just like the Democrats do every time they in office, bro. They come with these broken promises, and we gonna do this, we gonna do that. Then as soon as we vote them in office, they vote in office. Now everybody don't know. Everybody got amnesia and don't remember what they was saying during the election year and shit. But yeah, though, New York, please don't be that dumb to vote that man in. Y'all not getting nothing free. Ain't nothing in this world free. Not even water.
Just absolutely insane, man. Absolutely insane. Now, check this out right here, what Senator John Kennedy had to say about this.
There's been no reflection, introspection, or course correction. So I don't see them changing. And now if you look at the front runners for president, you got Buttigieg, Kamala, Gavin, AOC. Is that the future of this party now?
Well, I don't think they have a future until they stand up to the loon wing of their party. The loon wing, though, the socialist wing is in control. They're about to elect Mr. Mamdani mayor of New York. And this group, we remember them from the Biden days when they had influence with President Biden. They hyperventilate if you use the wrong pronoun. They think Abraham Lincoln and George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Dr. Zeus and Mr. Potato Head are a bunch of racists. They think children ought to be able to change genders at recess. The American people don't think that. And many Democrats don't. I want to be fair. But the loon wing does, and they're in control.
Well, I mean, who are the ones except for John Fetterman speaking out?
None.
Just really John Fetterman.
Because they're scared. They're scared. They're not scared of Senator Schumer. They're scared of Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. And sooner or later, well, I don't know what's going to happen, Sean, but as a Republican, this is probably good for Republicans, but I think it's bad for the country. I believe in competition. And I think New York is the greatest city in the world, and I don't want to see it ruined.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. It's definitely going to be ruined if Mamdani, get picked. So that's the main thing right there. So let's get into some of this government shutdown and what Mike Johnson and Tom Emmer had to say about Chuck Schumer for pretty much, catering to Zohran Mamdani and stuff like that. And he definitely had something to say, too. So let's check this out right here by Tom Emmer.
Down to pick a fight with President Trump and to score points with Kami Mamdani and Omar Fada, the Omar Fada wing of their party. The Democrats have become kamikaze politicians who are so focused on winning some kind of political game that they've justified blowing up everything in their wake, including the livelihoods of their own constituents. Democrat Senator John Fetterman said it best on CNN yesterday, quote, "We are hurting the very people that we fight for, and now we're getting nothing for them if we continue to keep our government shut down."
Exactly what he said.
Quote, "This is wrong," he went on to say, and he's...
And like I said, it seemed like that John Fetterman has been the only one standing up, the only Democrat that got common sense, of what's really going on and how Democrats are still trying to, blame President Trump and Republicans and stuff like that. And then look at this woman who need to be sent back. Before we move on, they need to be sent back to Somalia. Look at this. No American political rally should look or sound like this. Omar Fateh and his Somalia community are barreling toward electing him mayor. They're moving forward with plans to conquer America. It will not stop with Minneapolis. This whole thing is an Arab. Oh, my God. This is absolutely insane. Just absolutely insane. So, Let's go ahead and move on to this. And of course, Mike Johnson has something to say about Zohran Mamdani as well, because if you see right here, it says Speaker Johnson said poor Hakeem Jeffrey was forced to endorse Zohran Mamdani, and he's terrified he'll own the results of that. So it says Schumer and Jeffries fear political retribution from the left more than they fear the consequences of keeping the government closed for weeks.
In the House and Leader Schumer in the Senate, they're both from New York and they're terrified. You've watched their actions carefully. Many of you have not reported on it enough. Poor Hakeem Jeffries had to finally, he was forced to endorse Mamdani. And he's terrified that he now owns the results of that. Chuck Schumer's been dancing around the issue, but he knows he's darned if he does, darned if he doesn't. They're both terrified, and so that is the fear. This is a fact, and you should print it this way. The Schumer and Jeffries and their colleagues fear political retribution from the far-left activists in their party more than they fear the consequences of keeping the government closed for weeks on end.
Wow.
They fear that personally for their own political future, and they care more about that than they care about SNAP benefits flowing to hungry families, about air traffic controllers being paid so they can keep the skies safe, Border Patrol troops, and all the rest. It pales in comparison, and this is a simple summary that is a simple fact. It is extremism on the left that is the direct cause of American suffering right now.
Exactly, and that's exactly right. Now, there's another Speaker Johnson drops the mic on every Democrat in America.
False claim number 3, Democrats are fighting for health care. You've heard this over and over and over. Let me say something very simply about this false claim. It is the Democrats who created Obamacare. It is the Democrats who did that without any Republican votes. It's the Democrats who, by extension, have cost the American taxpayers and people who have health insurance have made their costs skyrocket. It is their policies that made that happen. And so instead of reforming it, the Democrats don't reform Obamacare. They want to subsidize it. They want to spend more taxpayer dollars. That, by the way, goes mostly to insurance companies, which makes the cost rise further. That's the Democrats' plan. When they passed Obamacare in 2010, they called it the Affordable Care Act. We know the truth is exactly the opposite. By some estimates, premiums have risen 60% in many categories since they passed that bill into law. Now, the fact is the opposite. Republicans are the ones fighting to save health care. Why? It's not just talking points to us. We do this. We have ideas, and we have already implemented ideas and measures to reduce costs, increase access and quality, and eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. Now, why do we say it's not just a talking point? Why do we say the Republican Party is the only one advancing common sense reform solutions? Because we've proven it. We did that in the big, beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut. We took a look at Medicaid, and we took on that challenge. We took action to reduce fraud, waste, and abuse in Medicaid. We got able-bodied young men without dependents off the program. We got illegal aliens off the program, and we saved $185 billion just to start. We got millions of ineligible enrollees off the program, and it preserved it. It strengthened Medicaid for the people who rely upon it, which is the elderly, disabled, and young pregnant women, as we always use as an example. No, it's not about health care. That is a false claim, and everybody knows it. Everyone in America, and certainly everybody in this room, understands that this is about something else. Back in September, and it still sits there as their counterproposal, they would spend $1.5 trillion of your taxpayer funds. Included in that is nearly $200 billion of taxpayer funds that they want to use to restore free health benefits to illegal aliens. They want to spend billions in wasteful left-wing spending projects in foreign countries on things like LGBTQ plus awareness in the Horn of Africa, all sorts of things. I could give you a long list, and we've said it here before. They want to spend $500 million to prop up left-leaning news organizations. And shockingly, in that same proposal, as their ransom for reopening the government, they want to cut $50 billion from the Rural Hospital Fund that the Republicans just got signed into law on July 4th. That is the bill that they filed that shut down the government. And every American can see that for themselves. So their claim about Republicans being responsible is laughable.
It really is. And we've been going over this like almost every single day. We've been going over this every day. They just gaslighting the American people. Just gaslighting the American people. And, of course, Speaker Johnson is furious with Chuck Schumer. We are furious with Chuck Schumer because we know it is their fault.
Families who are in need. But by contrast, the Democrats have voted no every single time. And what is outrageous to us is that they have gone onto the Senate floor. Senate Democrats, they have voted no. They have voted to close the government. And then they have gone out to the hall, to the nearest camera they can find. And they have looked into the lens and said, Republicans are shutting down the government.
That's what I was saying. That's crazy.
It's the most extreme example of gaslighting in the history of American politics. And many in the media have allowed them to get away with that.
Trump involved in trying to whip some votes from Democrats?
Well, he was involved. Remember, before this all began, the four leaders went over to the White House. We sat across from him at the Resolute desk. Hakeem Jeffries was there, Chuck Schumer, myself, and Leader Thune in the Senate. And the president had a great dialogue. He said, give me your proposals, guys. Well, remember, they had just filed a $1.5 trillion demand for new spending, including giving $200 billion to illegal aliens to fund their health care again, to prop up NPR and PBS, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They wanted to send billions of dollars back overseas to these crazy social programs in other countries. And the president said, well, obviously that's a non-starter. Talk to me about something that's real and reasonable. And they just stuck their thumb in his eye. So the president tried. He is the great deal maker, the art of the deal. He can negotiate the end of wars around the world. But he does not have enough with these guys to overcome their fear of the Marxist in the Democrat Party. There is a massive turn to the left of that party, and that's what's motivating them.
Last week, it seemed that Democrats were beginning to acknowledge that their shutdown is having consequences. We even heard Democrats express concern that Americans were suffering. But when they were given the chance to end all of that suffering, the vast majority of Democrats in this body were perfectly willing to prolong the shutdown and the American people's pain. The vast majority of Democrats voted once again against a clean continuing resolution, the only bill on offer that could end all this suffering literally in a matter of hours. It is the only bill in the Senate that would fix every single issue I just mentioned. It would pay our troops, fund SNAP, Head Start, veterans programs, pay our staffers. 3 Democrat senators already support that clean continuing resolution, Mr. President. And the Democrat from Maine who supported the clean CR in the House said, and I quote, "There's a lot of important work to be done in Congress, none of which will be any easier if Mainers are suffering the harms of a government shutdown." End quote. The Teamsters Union and the American Federation of Government Employees, more traditionally allies of Democrats, to be frank, have called for Congress to spare the American people further pain and to pass the clean continuing resolution. And they're far from the only ones. Mr. President, it should not be this hard for a handful of Democrats to support a clean bill that simply reopens the government. It's a very straightforward proposition. It's a 24-page bill sitting right here at the Senate desk. Not a single new Republican policy, no partisan policy writers, nothing that Democrats haven't supported before on numerous occasions. It just reopens the government. And it's just 5 Democrat votes away from being sent to the President, who would sign it literally in a matter of hours. This bill is also the quickest way to get the two discussions, I should say, about health care. That is, if Democrats are serious about solving the Obamacare problem and not just interested in using it as a political issue. As I've said more times than I can count, Republicans are more than willing to have a health care discussion with Democrats. In fact, had Democrats voted to reopen the government last week, President Trump would be meeting with them this week. Unlike Democrats who want to continue papering over the unaffordability of Obamacare forevermore, Republicans have ideas for actually lowering healthcare costs.
Because that's the reason why a lot of times that they'll go over to CNN, MSDNC, ABC, CBS. They always go over there and they are left-wing networks, so they're not going to question Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer. They're just going to let them sit there and lie. That's just what it is. They're just going to sit there and let them lie. And I've said that plenty of times that they look into their camera and say, President Trump shut down the government. Mike Johnson shut down the government. The Republicans shut down the government, but yet they the one who's voting no on the bill and then ran to a leftist judge to try to tell President Trump he got to find a way to fund the American people because President Trump won't give Democrats $1.5 trillion and he won't let them gut the big, beautiful bill. Just absolutely insane. But like I said, I will keep y'all up to date as more information comes out. Thank you all for watching, especially the ones that made it to the end. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.